Okay, cool cats and kittens, what we're going to do on this video is I'm going to show you how to make the more complex letters, the O and the R, in 1-point perspective. Okay, and I did this video yesterday, and when I was looking at it, I realized that my O, in fact, was not correct on the one that I originally gave you. So if you can see, on this part right here, the inside of the O, I was using this corner rather than that corner to make it. So that's why I'm redoing this video right here. And this is correctly done right here. And the way that I get this part right here is to come over and go down and then come across. But I'll show you how to do it. But I just wanted you to know that I redid this one. Okay, so, and the other thing that I'm going to do in this video too is, and I didn't do this in the one that was with the L and the T, is I'm going to try to recreate where the vanishing points are, because the people that are getting the 1-point perspective are getting it super well, like absolutely perfect, and the people that are struggling, instead of doing something different than what I'm showing you on the original ones, I think it would be helpful to them if I do them in a similar fashion. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the arrow aside for a second, and I'm going to take my new piece of paper. I'm going to put it on to my paper, and I'm just going to save myself some time, and I'm going to make the box. And like I mentioned on the other video, a lot of the letters are medium. And I'm going to do this for my R as well, so I'll do another one for my R. So there are a couple letters that are wider, so the box would have to be wider, like the W. And there's some that are a little bit smaller, but most of them actually fall into the medium. All right, so now that I have that, I have my little squares, so then I'm just going to go back and I'm going to lightly make the square that my letter is going to fall into. Just like we did all right, so I'm going to do my O. I'm going to go back to see about how fat I did the original one, and it was just over a 1/2 inch all the way around. So if you don't have a ruler, just do the best that you can with how fat the letters are, and how consistent that you can make it. It's more about whether you understand making them and they look like they are in perspective. If you don't have a ruler, then being absolutely precise. If you do have a ruler, you can be a lot more precise. So we're just doing the best that we can with what we have. And remember, we're going to continue working in perspective. So you may, if you don't have a ruler, you may want to try to get a ruler between now and the next couple of weeks. Whether you leave a note for your neighbor and ask them if they have a ruler, or whether you order one, or have your parents get one when they go to the grocery store or whatever. But you can still do it with the edge of an envelope. Okay, so I have the face of my O, and I have my original O, and I have my horizon line, which is right here, and I have my vanishing point that's way, way, way over to the left. So I am going to do the same thing on this one. So there's my horizon line, and I'm going to put my little vanishing point right there. And then I'm going to go from this corner, this corner, this corner. This one falls behind, so I'm not going to do that one. And then I'm going to do this one as well. So let me do that. My paper sticks to my desk for some reason. It's very magnetic, so I have to like lift it up. So there's my first vanishing ray, my second vanishing ray, third, and then this time I'm going to do it correctly, and I'm going to go from this corner right here. And then I'm going to decide how fat it is. So because for the fatness, I just did the width of my ruler, but you can do it thinner. You can do it way fat if you want. And this is also where people had a little bit of a hard time. Some people, when they made the bottom of their T or their L, instead of making this line straight, they made it at an angle, or they made it going this way. So if the letter is straight across the bottom, then of course you're going to make it straight across the bottom this way. And it's a little bit more difficult to see straightness going up and down. So this is straight, this is straight, that is not straight, that is not straight. And that was another little issue with people that were having a hard time. And the thing is if you don't see it as easily as somebody else does, when you make the lines at an angle, then it's even more difficult to see it. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing that I did on this one over here. So I'm going to use the width of my ruler, and I am going to join these two rays together right across there. So I've made the bottom of the block. And then I'm going to go up here, and I too have a hard time making straight lines. So one of the things that helps me is if I try to line up the ruler on the bottom of the paper really, really evenly. So I'm trying to line it up. That helps me to make my straight lines. Okay, so now I have the bottom done and I have the side done. I need to figure out how to do this inside right here. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to see this as a block right here. And if this comes over right here, right, that comes over, that's that block. And then what I'm going to do is very, very lightly, I'm going to go from where this block came over, I'm going to go to my vanishing point. And where that block crosses right here, that is actually the end of that block right there. Okay, and that's what I did wrong on the last one. All right, so now I have this inside. I'm going to try to make my line straight, and it's going to hit right here, and then I'm going to come down straight as well. And now I have my letter done. So if you wanted to, and I'm just going to color this really quickly, if you wanted to make the face of it a different color, you can. Make yours really nice and beautiful. I'll make mine kind of rough just because the videos end up being really long if I take the time to make it perfect. But this does help many people to see the block a little bit better if they can see the initial flat letter before we start to color in the three-dimensional part to it. Okay, and then once I have that colored in, and then what I'm going to do is what we've been doing all along, we're going to go where it's far away, we're going to go darker, then we're going to have it lighter, where it's further away, it's going to be darker, and it's going to get lighter, and of course you're going to do this in a beautiful fashion. And this helps to make the letter look more three-dimensional as well. So of course in drawing we're always trying to make something on a flat surface appear like it's three-dimensional. Okay, so this is a correct, which is very helpful. This is a correct O, okay? And this is a correct O. All right, so now we're going to go to the R. So where's my paper that has the little dots? Here it is. So I have my 4 dots that I made just a couple minutes ago, so I know where I'm going to put my letter. So I'm just going to go back in here. I'm going to fit it in. There we go. So I'm going to make my R, so this is what it will look like pretty much in the end. So even moving the vanishing point just a tiny, tiny bit, like 1/8 of an inch from one side to the other, changes it a little bit, but I'll try to get it as on target as possible. So I'm going to make the easiest line first, which is this side right here, and I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a guide so I don't start off crooked right off the bat. Okay, and then I am going to make this part that comes out halfway up. So I'm going to go, this is 4 inches all the way down. I'm going to give myself a line that goes across at the 2-inch mark, and then I'll end up making this have a thickness, and this have a thickness, and this have a thickness. So in lettering, all the parts that go one way should be the same thickness, and the parts going the other way, they can be a different thickness as long as they are the same thickness as one another. So this one and this one should be the same, and this one and this one should be the same. All right, let me just go over this with my ruler. And again, I'll try to go straight. It's just over a 1/2 inch. And then how big did I make this one? I made it exactly a 1/2 inch. All right, and then I'm going to make the kick out, which is this part right here. So one thing that I know is that the kick out has to end at the edge of the block, right? So this is the block coming down, the kick out's gonna end over here. So I'm gonna make this mark first. So I'm gonna go to the edge of my block, which is right here. And I'm going to make it at least as thick as that. So I know that it's going to be right there. And then I'm going to put mine up to here, to this corner, and bring it down. And then this part can actually be a little bit thinner, so it can be about there, about as thick as that. So I'm just gonna give myself a little mark right there, and I'll see if it looks good. I'm gonna bring it down, and it looks pretty good. So I think that looks fine. I'm just gonna go over this. Yes. All right, so on the R, I put the vanishing point way, 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 way to the right. So I'm going to put my horizon line, and I'm going to put my vanishing point right here, and I'll do the easy parts first. So I'm going to do the bottom right here, right here, right here, and right here to the vanishing point. So I'm going to draw my vanishing rays to the vanishing point, vanishing ray to the vanishing point, vanishing ray, and vanishing ray. And then I'm also going to need this one right here. So I'm going to go up into this little crevice. And I'm going to draw this one as well to the vanishing point. All right, next is this guy. Right here and right here. So the R is definitely a more complex letter. It has more parts, and all those parts need to go to the vanishing point. And then inside, I'm going to go from this corner, which is interesting because that's where I made the mistake on the O. So I don't know how I did that, but I did. That one right there. So this one doesn't need to go, and this one doesn't need to go because, of course, they go on the face of it. All right? Now I'm going to decide how fat it's going to be. So if we look at this one from before, I did the same thing. I just used, oh, I guess I didn't. I came up a little bit. So what I did was I gave myself some little guidelines, and just so that I was straight, and I came up a little bit higher. So I didn't make it as fat as the O, and I think I'm going to do that again. So we keep it the same. So I'm going to come up against the R. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a guideline just so that I draw the line straight, because I do have a hard time drawing straight lines. And I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. So that's how far I'm going to have this one go back. So we'll get rid of those. All right, so let's do the easy part first. So we're going to finish this block right here. So this is going to come up right here, and it would keep coming up. And so let's see if we're actually going to see it inside of the R. No, we're not. So I'm going to draw this up. And now that I tilted my paper, I can't see where I'm going. I'm going to draw that 2 right there. All right. If I kept on going, I would keep on coming up, and that's where this one would cross, but this one happens to cross underneath this part right here. So we won't see that part there. All right, so it came up to here. And then we are going to, let's go, what part should we do after this that makes it easier? Let's do this part over here. So let's bring this part up, and it's going to keep on coming up until it finishes this part of the block over here where this part is. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to try to draw a straight line. I think that's straight. So this would come up, but now I'm going to press down right there. And then once I have that, I know that this part's going to go over straight. Like that. Okay, so now I need to make this diagonal line. So I want a line that looks like this, and it's going to come down. And that's going to hit this one right there. So that's the only one that's really tricky here. And that's right, and that's right. And we're not going to end up seeing the inside of this one, just because remember it's going to fall in here, it's going to fall behind. All right, so now let's shade in the front of the R. So let's just put them side by side for a second, because this one's a little bit confusing to look at right now. So let's shade in this. And let's shade in this so you can see the front of it. And then of course this part, the kick out. Okay, and then we'll just do the darkness. So from further away to closer. Further away to closer. Further away to closer. Further away to closer, further away to closer, further away to closer, further away to closer, and then further away to closer. And that is your letter R. All right, so you're going to, for this week, you're going to pass in the letter O and the letter R, just like you did the L and the T to me. And then the week after that, we'll actually do a word, a short word, maybe a 3 to 4 letter word, and you'll pass that into me, and then we'll start working in 2-point perspective. And that's when eventually you're going to make a city or a house or a car or a barn. Okay, so keep on passing in the good work. A lot of you are right on track, doing everything you're supposed to do. If something happens, you have a bad week or you're not feeling well, just email me that it's going to be late, and no problems. Okay?